Good day, friends, new project day, and I don't even know what guitar this is. And I'll tell you why. It's just been delivered. It's come down from Scotland. It's a returning client. It's shipped it down to me. It's just been delivered by, I believe, DHL, and I've not checked it yet. I don't remember what he was sending me down. I kind of vaguely do, but I'm not going to guess. I'm actually going to do an unboxing, because that way we can see if there's any damage caused in transit, and then we can take it from there. So we're going to do a live unboxing. So here is the box. It has a guitar inside it, I believe, so we're just going to cut through this tape, have a look inside. I do think it's a Floyd Rose equipped guitar. It's come down through a once over. The owner, he just says whatever it wants doing, do it. So if it needs a fret level or whatever, we'll do it. Now, at this moment in time, I'm off work. I'm not working for Ormel because I've been furloughed, because I am classed as clinically extremely vulnerable. I don't know why. Something to do with an illness I had a few years ago. So I'll do what the government's advised. And here you go. Here's the guitar. Anyway, so it's in a Gibson case. Nothing else in the box. Well padded case. Well packaged. And there, yeah, I'm furloughed, so I'm making the most of it. I'm still being paid because I'm furloughed, and me being a Royal Mail employee, we do get full wages whilst furloughed, so really cannot get on about that, can I? But anyway, guitar, let's see what we've got in here. Make sure, oh my goodness, that is a beautiful thing. Look at this. It's a Charvel, one of the more modern ones, I believe. That is a stunner. Right, I'll show you more of that in a minute. Let's just get that down there. Beautiful thing. I think this is one of the modern ones. It could be one of the SoCal ones, I'm not sure. See what's in here. Right. Oh, he says he's got a new pushing. I'll read his rules in a bit. Ah! We're going to put one of these on it, no arm on it. I believe this is one of the push-in style arm, push-in style. So we'll be changing that out. There's a little washer in there. What is that off? I have no idea. Just found a washer in there in the bag. There's no strings in there. So anyway, let's get down on the bench and have a look. What a beautiful looking thing. Some nice. Right, definitely the strings are loose. Anyway, some nice fat frets on there. So let's have a look at it. Wow, look at this. What a beautiful top. Spaltered maple is that. Spaltered maple top. Body mounted pickups, Seymour Duncans. It doesn't say anything on the back of the headstock at all. It just says Charvel. The later guitar shaped Charvel logo on there. So I will go and talk to the owner. I would imagine we have a volume and a tone. Is that push pull? No, definitely not pull. Oh, that is push pull. I imagine that's a coil split when you pull it. So you'd probably just go on the two inside coils, and that is both coils, both coils. Should be a three-way selector. Both pickups on, both coils split. So inside, inside. These ones will be cancelled out, I imagine. Full humbucker, both on. Just bridge split on there. Just neck. Neck split, should just be that coil, I imagine. I love these truss rod adjusters on these guitars. Down there, a lot easier. So yeah, don't know what it needs, but it has arrived safely. There's nothing, there's no damage that I can see. Backplate isn't there. That's not a problem. We will be giving it a setup. We'll be checking everything. I'll be checking the frets, checking the electrics. And it's just looks like it's a long way to come down for a setup. But we'll be working on the tremolo. We'll be swapping that arm over, and the it's not called a socket, you know, the tremolo post, what's it called? I do know what it's called, but anyway, the name evades me at this moment in time. Blah 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 blah. Anyway, whatever, we'll get it all sorted out. So that's it, we've done the unboxing. The guitar is nice and safe. There's no damage to it. It looks fantastic. Looking forward to working on this one. This is not the next in line. I am, like I say, I am furloughed. I've had 1, 2, 3 more coming just this week. 1, 2, 3. I've got 1, 2, at least 4 more on the way. I do have a queue of, I believe, 16 or 17 guitars, which it should take me up. Normally, if I was working for Royal Mail, that would take me into March, but if I'm going to be furloughed till the end of March, I will get them all done January, February, I imagine. So now then, during COVID, and we are fully locked down again, as from today, we are the 6th of January, year of our Lord 2021. Lockdown has come into law today. You can only travel out of your house. You're going to go out to train, fitness training, walk your dog, or go out for essentials. I wouldn't class coming here as essential. So what I can advise you to do is, if you are coming this way and you have a guitar to bring, then I will accommodate you. You cannot enter the building, but do not go out of your way or break the law to come here, because I don't want to be responsible for anything that might happen because of that. So I'm not encouraging anyone to break the law, but I do remain open. You are more than welcome to ship guitars to me. This one's just been shipped. I've got 2 next being shipped from it's not Shetland Islands, Channel Islands. I have other guitars being shipped to me. So I do encourage guitars being shipped to me. That's not a problem. But that's it. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. But anyway, this one. So I'm going to have going to get strings off. In fact, I'm not. I'm going to set the guitar up as it is with these strings on. Going to have a play about with it, check everything. Then we're going to check the frets, and I will come back, give you an update, and we'll let you know. I will let you know exactly what is going to be happening with this guitar. I had it set up with the old strings on. Impressions. It's definitely a metal guitar. It's got some weight to it. Very, very nice weight. I do believe it's a 2016 guitar. I've been sent a link to go and check it out on YouTube. It's got 942 strings on it. I personally would go 1046s on a guitar like this, but 942 is what's been asked for, so that's fine. So I've stuck these strings on. The saddles are all over the place. Now, I do know these saddles do actually arc into the correct radius, or about a 12-inch radius, so they could be wrong. Intonation I've not checked. I've had it plugged in. It is definitely a metal guitar. This is a coil split. One problem with this, on 10 full volume, it's fine, obviously. Drop it down to round about 9 or 8, still quite high, but when you hit 7, it drops considerably, so the sweep sort of goes zip, oof. And then there's not a lot going down to 0. So I don't particularly like the sweep on those pots. Maybe a bit of switch cleaner will clean that up a bit. They are a logarithmic pot, I would imagine. Pickups, really, really quite harsh. Much better for clean tones when you pull the coil split out. Still struggles to clean up that well unless you drop the volume. I like dropping the volume to about 6 or 7, and it seems to clean up a lot better. Maybe in single coil, get some decent cleans out of that. Pickups I find a little bit harsh, especially through the amp I have, or the way I have my amp set up. I do have to add a bit more bass, drop the treble and the presence just a little bit, but perfect for metal. I will go and find out what pickups these are. I would imagine a JB Jazz set, but don't quote me on that because I don't know. Floyd Rose is a real Floyd Rose. I've decided I'm going to strip the Floyd Rose completely because I'm going to need to do that anyway for the intonation and everything. I think, I'm not sure if these saddles are in the right place because there's quite a high drop between some of them down to the IE and low E. So I'm not convinced that that is set up right. I don't mind stripping it and rebuilding it anyway. One thing I've not been able to look at yet is the frets. It's the next thing I'm going to do now I've had a play on the guitar. The electrics aren't crackling, so we don't need any major work in there, though I am going to spray some switch cleaner in there anyway. Pickup selector works fine. The guitar works fine. These are high output pickups. It's a very, very metal guitar. Nothing that an EQ on your amp can't sort out. Maybe I'm being a bit picky, but I've been playing that amp set up for an SG, and this is a completely different guitar, different pickups, so, you know, different wood, so, you know, you do tend to need to set your amp up for the guitar you're playing, I've found. I also have active pickups on my SG, so again, different again. But anyway, next thing I'm going to do is we're going to get these strings off, I'm going to get my neck straight, and we're going to go and check the frets. The nut is fine. I know the owner was a little bit concerned, thinking we may need to shim the nut. We absolutely don't. We've got enough clearance above that first fret on there. I don't need to change anything. They're close enough to the frets without causing any buzz. I'm really happy with that. Not looked at the neck yet. Like I say, going to get the strings off. Going to check the frets. once we've got the neck dead straight, we can see where we are going from there. So this Charvel, I've not stood on ceremony, I've blobbed on and got things done. I've stripped and rebuilt the Floyd Rose. We now have a pushing tremolo arm, nice and tight. It does have an adjuster screw on this side, just here, so you can tighten it or loosen it. That's fantastic. I've been under the saddles, made sure everything's tight underneath, and I've levelled off for fine tuners, ready for reinstalling that. So they're halfway. They're not at the top, they're not at the bottom. It gives us a fine tuning adjustment each way. I've not properly checked the intonation, so we can move these saddles forwards or backwards if we need to, but the tremolo bit is done. Moving on to the neck, I do have it bolted to a piece of MDF, substituting for the body. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the we're going to alter the truss rod, get the neck dead straight. Once it's straight, we can move along a level with frets. You notice I moved the locking nut. I've also moved the string retainer bar, so we've got nothing in the way there. I do believe these 4 or 5 frets need work, but we'll check the lot anyway. There's quite a bit of wear in other places, but all we're going to do first is, or what we need to do first, is just get this neck set dead straight. And I know I'm close to the camera than I want to be. That's because I wanted you to see everything. I've got 3 different jobs on the go at the moment, and they're all at different stages of where they can be. Some of them I'm waiting for parts, one of them I'm waiting for a special tool. So we're just going to have a look here. We're going to take, should be a 25.5 inch scale, which it is. So let's have a look underneath. Now normally I've found in the past, as soon as we take the strings off, the neck is normally dead straight, and that seems to be the case with this. That looks fantastic. May need a very, very slight turn. Let's see what I have here. That's not going to do it, but an Allen key will do it. Always, you can use an Allen key on these type of truss rods. Let's see what that's done, see if that's made any difference anyway. I'm going to be cleaning my fingerboard anyway. It does have some muck on there. Okay, I'm very, very pleased with that. That is straight. That neck is level, that's fantastic. So I'm going to get fret rocker. I'm just going to go across, I'm going to mark any frets that are rocking. I will have a permanent marker knocking about somewhere right here. I'm not going to zoom in, I'm going to work where I'm at. I think you can see enough from there. Let's move that back a little bit. You can see as much as you need to right now. So there is a bit of wear on the frets. I think just, here's one. So there's one fret. Get some permanent marker on there. We're not talking great amounts of rock. There's another one. That's all the way across. So we've got fret 4. I think that was fret 7. Let's just check it again. I took my eye off the ball. Fret 7 all the way across. Fret 10 just on the far side, so that's 3. Fret 11, just a tiny bit. We're not even going to count that one. So we're going to stick with 3. It's just a tiny bit on there, it's going to take nothing to fix that. Fret 13, just a little bit on the edge. Getting to the point now where we don't really want to find any more. 1, 2, 3, we've got 4, we've got 5. But we're not going to count 2 of them really. So we're counting 3. This one makes 4. I'll bring all this in an intensive setup. 80 quid. That's a regular £50 setup with fretwork and the electrics. very, very tiny rock on there. One wipe of the file should fix that one. 3, 4. So we are counting 5 frets at the moment. And 2 other little tiny bits need a little tiny bit of work. But these frets, my friends, are level. Oh, the last one isn't. That doesn't matter, we don't have to touch the last one. But we will touch the last one. Okay. So we do have 5 frets and 3 frets with a little bit. So more, I mean, we've got to touch 8 frets, but I'm not going to count those 3 because they're so tiny. So we've really got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets need major work. 1, 2, 3 need very, very minor work, just right on the edges here. So we're going to just count those. We're not going to count those. So we're going to do all this in a in an intensive setup, £80. I'm going to write down what frets these are. Get another piece of paper, just so I know, just in case the pen does rub off. There's no reason for it to rub off. It is permanent marker. I keep, you know, when I print stuff out and I no longer need the print, I keep the bits of paper and I use them for scrap, for writing stuff on like that, for instance. I don't chuck it away, it's always there. So I'm going to write down the frets we need to work on. I'm going to go fret number 4, and I'll show you how I do them at fret 4, 7, and what I do is I have 3 areas on a neck. So we've got fret 4 and on to areas 2 is the centre, area 1 is furthest away, area 3 is closest to me. So for instance, on fret 4 I need to file areas 1 and 2, and on fret 7 I need to file all 3 areas because it's a whole fret. So I'd write that key. Fret number at the top, areas under. So 4, 1 and 2 means fret 4, areas 1 and 2. 7 with an X means 7, all 3 areas. So I'll write that down, that just helps me. 7, 8, 9, 10, area 1. 11, area 3. 13, area 3. 15, area 2. 17, area 3. 18, 19, 20, 21, 21, areas 1 and 3. So there you go, there's my little key. That helps me, I completely understand that, that draws me a picture. So I know where I am with all of that, and that's great. The reason I've done that is I'm going to be cleaning the fingerboard, and I don't know what I'll be cleaning it with yet. I may go and get a clean flannel and some soapy water, because it does have quite a lot of icky on there, and I'll show you what I mean by icky. You will see it, and let me just find out where it is. All these areas where my fingers are on these frets, you see all the black scum, dead skin, and there's some all down here as well, and I'm thinking that's probably going to come off better with some soapy water rather than using something else. So I'm going to go and do that. Once that's done, I'm going to start leveling these frets. I'll come back and show you a little bit of that. I'm not going to go in depth because time isn't on my side. I've got a lot of work on at the moment. So leveling these frets, because there are only a few, I'm going to be spot leveling. Spot leveling is totally different from leveling all of them, because normally I level a lot in one go with a leveling beam going that way, but because I'm spot leveling, the reason spot leveling is a lot cheaper, by the way, is because it's a lot quicker. But you do have to be completely on your guard. You have to know what you're doing, because if you make a mistake, you're going to be leveling the whole lot anyway. So the difference between spot leveling and complete leveling, we just pour a level beam, sand them all, that way we've got them all level, no problem. Spot leveling, we're just leveling one fret at a time, and we're going to be leveling them that way. So what we need to do is make sure we don't get lower than these 2 frets. So all we're going to do is we're going to take a super fine file, like my number 4 cut Swiss file here, which is, it's really fine, but it's really sharp. Super smooth, but it is really sharp. It's a great file, and all I'm going to do is, where it's rocking, I'm just going to glide across it very gently. But before I do that, I'm going to take a fretting hammer and I'm just going to tap to make sure the fret is seated correctly. I'm not going to go mad. There's only a very tiny rock on there now. And all I'm going to do is just remove that pen. Now I'd normally tape this up, but because I trust in my hand, I'm just going to go across just a couple of strokes. Now this file has got it's a little bit clogged up, so it's not cutting as well as it normally would, but it makes it easier to do this because I'm not going to remove anything. And all we're going to do is we're going to keep checking the fret. Still rocking on the end bit there, but the rest of it seems pretty much okay. Like I said, I don't want to remove too much. And that's that one done by the looks of it. And we're going to check one back, one forward, and that's it. So we've levelled that one fret. Like I say, it's a lot we can do in a lot. And now I've levelled it and we've got a flat there. We just need to re-carve that crown or recut that crown. I'm going to use my Z file. You've all seen this. It's going to help me rebuild that crown. It's got a short cut at the bottom, long cut at the top. Flip it over 180. It's got a long cut at the bottom, short at the top. Good thing about this is when it cuts, it will not touch the top of the fret. But it will help us rebuild that crown. That's basically, in a nutshell, really quick explanation. And all I'm going to do is just a few strokes that way and that way. And that's that recrown just about built. I'm going to show you how to finish that off in a minute. I think my phone's ringing, so I just need to go and get that. I had to take that phone call. It was about my car, which is great because there's just a little bit of work. It did have a water leak. It's been fixed. So we can now move on. So I've just shown you how we crown using the StuMac Z file. And once that's done, that doesn't give us a perfect crown, but this file does. This is by Alma, and this is perfectly rounded. It gives you that perfect crown. It's a diamond file. So again, minimal scratching. And this will create the perfect dome or crown, as we call it. And that is it, and that is that one done. And we're just going to check that we've got no rock anymore. We've got no rock either side, which we haven't. So we've managed to level and recrown that fret, just for good measure, because these ones are a little bit worn. I'm just going to go over each fret regardless, just to give that crown a little bit more, give it a little bit more of a crown. If there's any unevenness. So all the frets are going to get this. Just give them a nicer shape on the top, make them rounder. Remove a little bit of that wear, but it won't remove any height. And we'll give them all a nice polish later on. So I've got rest of the frets. So we're going to move on to the next one, number 7. Pretty much the same thing. We always clean a file after working on a fret. Put that one back. Same with this one, put that one back somewhere I can reach it. And this one. And we're going to do exactly the same as we did before. We're going to check the height. We're going to give a couple of gentle taps. As long as we've got this underneath, we've got a nice, just a couple of gentle taps. Make sure it's seated correctly. I'm just going to check the areas again. Still rocking. I'm going to go with the file. I need to go and replace this file actually. I'm going to go buy another one in a minute. Check back, that's nice. So we'll have that one levelled. So again, same again, I can do this all by eye. Like I said, I normally tape this up when I'm doing the whole lot, because I'm only doing one and I trust my hand. Just going to go across, rebuild that crown. Like I say, this file would not touch the top of the fret. Flip it 180, do the same this side. You can always tell by your eye how good it is, and that's just wiping it. That's why we wipe it. Come back in with the crowning file. because the ones we've not touched before, just go over those, just give them a little bit of extra crowning. Like I said, we're going to be polishing the lot anyway. Just to make all of the frets uniform. Next one we're working on is that one. So you see how it's working now. We're all getting a little bit of a recrown anyway. That's just giving it a white look. Next one is this one. It's exactly the same again, just check for rock. So you know how it works now, I've shown you, so I'm going to crack on, I'm going to get the rest of them done. Once they're all done, I'll be taping up the fingerboard and we will come back and polish all of them. This morning I'm going to be polishing frets, and as always when I'm polishing frets, because I don't want to get all the whatever is going to come off the frets or off the sandpaper in my fingers, I always adapt a latex glove and I cut the thumb bit out and these fingers out, because I only use these two fingers to polish. And how I polish is, I polish with 6 different grits. In fact, most times 7 different grits of sandpaper. They're going from a more coarse grit to a finer grit. So we've got 600, 800, 1200, sorry, 600, 800, 1000, 1200, 1500, 2000. They are the 6 grits. I would normally like to go with some 400 grit to start with if I have any knocking about, which this morning I actually don't, which is surprising. No matter, I could just take some steel wool, just a small piece of steel wool, and just rough up or remove the pen. Some steel wool, finest grade steel wool. I'll be finishing off with this later. This is not to polish, this is just to get the pen off. So the initial wipe, just to get everything clean. A nice clean grease-free surface ready for the sandpaper, and you can see already this is actually coming up quite nice just using this, but that is not how we want it. Because we've levelled the frets, well, we haven't levelled all of them, we just spot levelled some of them, but because we've levelled them and recrowned them, we're going to have scratches on there. So I'm going to polish the lot. So the guy's certainly getting his money's worth here. But I don't have to go super deep. Don't forget, I've only done, I can't remember how many frets I did do on this, but it's only at a spot level, not a, I think I did I do 8? I charged for 5. And this, just steel wool, is going to be fine for most of them. I'm going to go across all of them using 5 grits of paper, give them a right good polish, give the really good value for money. Normally I charge 115, 120 quid for a complete level and polish. This is all coming under a intensive setup, which I charge £80. Like I say, all of the frets didn't need levelling, so it wouldn't really need, I wouldn't really go with the 5 levels of paper, the 5 grits of paper, but I'm going to do today. I'm feeling generous. So that has prepped the frets ready for polishing. I can just skim across the edge as well, just the bevels here. Should have actually done that first. Just remove anything that's on there that shouldn't be, you know, a bit of built up grime from over the years. I do believe this is a 2016 guitar, so maybe it's never had this deep polishing. End of the day, we want to get them looking right. The guy who sent this guitar down, by the way, he lives in Scotland, so it is expensive for him to send a guitar and have it shipped back, and I appreciate that. This is why I'm giving him a little bit more free, because he says if he could afford it, he'd send all his guitars down there, but he can't afford it, and that's who can. Who's got that kind of money in the today's climate. But anyway, that's all ready for polishing. So I'm going to show you how I polish. First, I always brush the area. I'm just going to show you one fret, and I'm going to pick this one, number 4, and this is how I polish. I'm going to go, because we scratched it that way, we'll polish this way, and it's just a matter of going over the top. You don't have to get right into the corners on these because we've not done all the frets, but the ones I have levelled, For instance, we're going to get in the far side and the near side, getting right in these corners here and here, and back over the top again. And that's it, and we're going to do that with the 6 different grits. I may get some 400 out yet, I don't know, but we're going to do it with 6 different grits. And once that's done, we're going to come back and we're going to do it with finest, extra fine steel wool to bring them to a beautiful shine. We're going to get rid of all scratches, bring them to a beautiful shine, and then we can look at getting the guitar all back together. Just finished polishing the frets, so you get to see them finished when I do, well, with the tape peeled off as well. Just about peel the tape off. Always the best part of fret polishing is revealing the frets. You see here we've taped everything up using what we call in England masking tape. You probably call it painter's tape in other places in the world. Masking tape, painter's tape, it's all pretty much the same stuff. You can get lower tack than this. This is not super low tack, but it's not going to pull any paint or anything away. Not particularly heavy. But you now see why I do a strip down the side of the guitar. It means we can just pull everything off more or less in just a few goes. So I've gone through, just to recap, I've gone over these frets with 7 different grits of paper and finest grade steel wool. Everything masked off. Now this sometimes does happen, the tape will rip where you don't want it to. Make sure you've got all of it. And I think you'll agree that these frets look fantastic. So we're all highly polished, scratch free. Like I say, 7 grits of paper. I'm going to chuck all that now. I can reuse this steel wool because it's hardly touched. Use that for other jobs later on, fret polishing. But that is it, that is that done. So we can put the nut back on the guitar. I am just going to wipe everything over. I may give the fingerboard a clean. In fact, I will give the fingerboard a clean with some naphtha. Now in England we don't get naphtha, but we get the next best thing, which is Zippo lighter fluid, which, as far as I know, is basically pure naphtha. This stuff. We're just going to give her a little. Oh, I've got some on the headstock there. Didn't mean to, but that's okay. Just going to give everything a wipe down with this. It will evaporate, but this will get rid of any residue we've got left on the fingerboard. And the tape, any tape residue, and any bits that got under the tape, any unscour or detritus, basically muck, dirt. And I'll clean everything off there. And now we are ready to put the neck back on the guitar. We'll get the nut back on, put the neck back on the guitar. Now what I will be doing is, I don't always mention this, I'll be making sure the neck is dead straight by ultimate truss rod. It should be straight anyway, because I've always found that if you put a straight neck with a truss rod nipped up or tightened and the neck dead straight, when you actually put the strings on, it'll give you the exact right amount of relief. Very, very rare I have to alter a truss rod once I've set it straight before putting it on a guitar, because the string pull is probably just going to give us enough relief around this area for us not to have to touch the truss rod. I'm hoping that's the case. It normally is the case, 9 times out of 10, 90, even maybe even 99 times out of 100. So we're going to get this back on the guitar, we're going to get the locking nut back on, and we're going to come back and we're going to get the tremolo back on, and we're going to start to get this guitar set up. With the neck back on the guitar, I'm going to set the guitar up, and it is as simple as setting a guitar up is. It is also, it can be very difficult if you don't know what you're doing. And what I need to do first is, I've put the nut back on the guitar, so I've put the neck back on, I've put the nut back on the guitar. The neck should be straight, and it is slightly under tension, which is great, which means when I put strings on, it should just give me enough bend to give the right amount of relief. So let's hope we're blessed in that area today. So a couple of things I need to mention. What I'm going to do first is, I'm going to film every single thing because it will get quite boring. You need to get the strings on first, get them in the tremolo, and quite easy. So I'm going to explain how I do this, but I do this the proper way. Some people have started putting the ball end of the string at this end here, so it wraps around, and cutting this off more or less to length, and that way this traps, the ball end traps the string on there. I find you don't get a good bend around the post doing that, so I don't do that. I do it the old fashioned way. I do it the proper way. What I do is I cut the ball end off, like so, and I stick it in the right place in the saddle and clamp it up. Now I can't clamp it up until I've got the tremolo in a position where I can actually work on it. I can't work on it with it sunk in there because I can't get to the alloy, not the alloy, the Allen key bolts or the fastening bolts to the studs there. So what I'm going to do is give it a little wipe. So I need to somehow get this sat up without marking the top of the guitar. Now I would normally use some business cards trapped underneath there, and I'm going to have to do that. I'm going to do that anyway, I think. But another way I could do it would be to grab a couple of business cards like this, I'm going to use 2 each side, one there, or one pair there, one pair there, and then if I wanted to I could use something like a long screwdriver trapped under the tremolo, holding the tremolo up, but we wouldn't mark the guitar because we've got business cards on there, and I think that is the way I'm going to do it. So what I need first to do is to make sure I do have a long screwdriver, which I do, and then I also need to grab the tremolo on so I can hold the tremolo up and out of the way, like so. That's exactly the way I'm going to do it. And I'm going to be very, very careful to slide the tremolo or the screwdriver under the tremolo, but on top of the business cards. That way we could not mark the guitar, the tremolo is held in the air, and I'm able to work on the Allen bolts. Now I do have a set of Allen bolts here, which I'm going to use for setting up Floyd Roses, so I can just tip those out, grab the right size. That looks a bit small. Let's look at this one. That seems to be, is that a bit too big? No, that's the right size. There you go. Now this will give us some resistance because of the screwdriver. There you go. Making sure we don't hit the guitar body with the wrench. Take the string. Make sure the string goes all the way down to the bottom. Now I'm not going to show you the saddle block there, you know how it works, it's a little block inside the saddle. We need to make sure that all of that string hits the bottom of the saddle. So I know you can't see from me, I know you're far away, just place it in where it needs to be, push it all the way down, which it is, tighten up this bolt, the Allen wrench, so that is nipped up. I like doing things the proper way. Something I've not mentioned, which I'm just going to mention in a second. I'm just going to tighten this up. I'm going to explain how to tighten this up. When I tighten up, keep your finger on there and give it just enough. Don't over tighten it. You don't need to over tighten it. You'll strip the threads. Just tighten it. You'll know when it's tight enough. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring it over to the post. I like to have the post at 90 degrees this way. That way you'll see I have removed the string retainer bar. It's easier that way to get all your strings in. And what I do is once I get pretty close, I like to put a little bend in the string, and I'm just going to press it down so it goes underneath, and I'm just going to bring the string to slight tension. We haven't got to bring anything up to major tension just yet. It's just about getting the strings on. This is how I do it. Don't ask me if there's a wrong way or a right way, I've got no idea. This is the way I do it, it's the way I've always done it. And this is all about getting the strings on. Now that has gone slightly, that's gone over. I don't want to go over the string, I want to go under, I want it pulling downwards. So I'll just loosen it off, bring it back. Tuning wise, I'm going to need to go a little bit flat because the bridge is pulling forwards. So I'd like it to be round about a D. C sharp I'll do. And I'm just going to snip the string there. And there you go, that's going to be thrown away. So that is how I like to do it now. We're going to still get more pull on this because of the angle of the neck. the angle of the locking nut just there, and when we put the locking saddles in there, it's going to pull down even more, so we can go quite flat with that. But more about that later. One thing I didn't mention that I was going to mention, by the way, is these tuners. We're going to want to get these somewhere in the middle. So all in the middle, that will give us adjustment to sharpen or to flatten the note. So I'm just going to go down a little bit there. I want these all pretty much in the centre. So if I adjust that all the way back and give it 4 spins forward, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's it, we're going to level all these off here. So we're just above centre, but anywhere around the centre will do. It'll give us adjustment either way, in either direction. And that looks pretty good. And that means when it comes to locking, and when we lock everything off, we can adjust, we can sharpen or flatten the note on the fine tuners. And I like this just above centre. So find out where the centre is, and are these just above, resting just above. Then leave them like that, we're going to get the strings in. So pretty much see what we're getting at here. Right, the strings, the gauges asked for is 942s. I would go 1046s on these, but he doesn't want that, so that's fine. 942s are fine. So again, snippety snip. Doesn't go in yet. We need to loosen the fine tuner. Making sure we go all the way in. That is not all the way in, it means we're not loose enough. I think we're all the way in now. Let me zoom in a little, give you more of an idea, see how far we can go in. Not that much. Okay, in the top right corner of the video, from what I can see, these are the saddles. Obviously you know what saddles are. All the way into the bottom. Allen wrench. I do believe this is a 3mm Allen wrench, or thereabouts. So that's just binding just there. We're gonna, once we got some tension on there, we're gonna give it, now we've got quite good tension, I'm gonna give it that much. That's it. That's enough. We are locked in there. We come back down. We'll bend the string over at the saddle. I like these to be sideways on. I'm going to do a little bit more winds around here, so I'm going to be looking at probably a little bit more on this one. Again, holding it down, a couple of winds around the post. I don't want anything to be slipping later on. We're not worried about the tremolo end yet, about getting anything level. That's an A, we're going to want that in round about F sharp G. That'll do me. Do we have enough winds around that post? I think we just do. Only just so. I've got a little bit shorter there. I think we're going to be okay. So listen, I'm going to crack on, get the rest of the strings on. I'm going to bring it up more or less to just a little bit flat. So when I let go of this, get the screwdriver out, the tremolo's going to pull backwards and we're just going to bring this up to pitch more or less. I'll explain more about that when I get there. Let me get all the strings on and I'll come back and explain in a little bit more detail. A couple of things I've done off camera. I've restrung the guitar. I've put the string tree back on here. I'll put the locking clamps on, loose though, not tightened up yet. I've made sure the strings are going over the nut at the right angle and under the string tree, then back onto the strings. I've also blocked off the tremolo, again, using 2 business cards each side and a strip of metal, in this case, an old, not very good fret rocker, which I no longer use. I've put extra springs in the back, so we have the tremolo pulled right back under a lot of tension, so it cannot move. I have the tremolo level. And the good thing about this is if I snap a string, that's not going to move anywhere because it's pulled that far back with so much more tension. So what we're going to do now with the tremolo in the correct position, and the strings more or less in tune, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to check the action at the 12th fret on each string on the bass and on the treble side, which I've already done. I've got those to the height I want by altering the stud screws on the tremolo. We've got the strings more or less to tension, so I've got the height right, I've got the relief right, I've got everything clamped back, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to stretch and stretch and stretch these strings until they stretch no more. Once that's done, I'm going to make sure it's in tune and I'm going to lock these clamps. With that done, that will give us a tuned in guitar with the strings stretched under tension with the right height at the 12th fret and in the right position. Once that's done, I'm going to remove 2 springs from the back. I'm going to remove all this gubbins here. And the tremolo is going to pull up and backwards, bringing everything sharp. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the 2 screws on this claw here. This is the claw holding the springs. I'm going to remove the 2 springs and I'll undo these screws until the tremolo is level again. Always checking the tuning with the tuner. Once I get 1 string in tune, I'm going to use the A string in this instance. Once the A string is in tune with this back to level, all the other, it should be that all the other strings are also in tune. That is how we do it in theory. It does work. How do I know? I've done it millions of times. I've done it thousands of times. So I know it does work. That is exactly what I'm going to do. So I've explained it, but I will show you some bits as I go along. I'm going to stretch the strings in, keep the guitar in tune, keep stretching the strings. Once it's in tune and all the strings are stretched, I'm going to lock these clamps. That will give us an in-tune guitar with everything in the right position. Once I've got all that done, right, in the middle of that somewhere, I'm going to check the intonation. I've not checked the intonation yet. It should be spot on because it looks pretty much how it should be. Once the intonation's correct, it's tuned in, it's clamped down, and everything is in the right position, I'm going to bring the camera back in and we are going to release the springs at the back and release the tension, and I'm going to show you how to set the tremolo so everything is absolutely right. I totally forgot to mention about the intonation. I'm actually going to do that now. In fact, I'm going to do it while you're here. I'm not even going to stop the camera. Now, if I am very fortunate, the intonation will already be spot on. If it isn't, I'll show you how we do that. And it is a long-winded process, but we'll see. Let's see first. So let's have a look at the tuning. There you go. You're now getting some live video. That's good. That's good. I did check the intonation before I stripped the guitar. It was pretty much spot on, so it should be bang on. No, that's fine. I'll check it again in a second. How wonderful. The intonation is absolutely spot on. So, like I said, I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to stretch the strings in and stretch them again and stretch them again till they are all stretched in. I will check the relief in the neck. If I'm happy with relief in the neck and the strings are all stretched, I'm going to be locking these clamps down. That will give us a guitar perfectly in tune with everything set up right, and we can get to sorting the tremolo out. Okay, I've got a wide angle on the camera so you can see more. So, as I explained before, I have the guitar set up. We have the relief in the neck set. We have the action set at the 12th fret. We have the strings clamped at the nut. We have the guitar in tune. We have the tremolo with the springs really, really tight at the back. We have it clamped back and held. We have this piece of scrap metal holding the bridge in position, really tightly clamped. We have business cards between the clamp and the body of the guitar so we don't damage the guitar. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove the two springs that don't need to be there, which are these two, which are mine. So I'm going to do that right now, hopefully without having to resort to force or tools, and that seemed to be pretty good. Then again this one, and that's good. And all being well, we'll still have enough tension under there to hold these in place, which we do. So I will lay the guitar back in the resting position, and I'm going to remove this clamp and these business cards. Like I say, it's impossible to mark the guitar. We've got two business cards each side. This piece of metal is not touching the guitar body anywhere. This is the new Tremolo arm, which is a push-in fit. Just going to push it in, remove the clamp like so. That's what we were using to hold it in position. We'll remove the business cards. And now the tremolo, because of the tension of the springs, is pulled backwards, so everything will now be sharp. If I plug in the tuner, in fact I'm going to show you the guitar, show you what it's done now we've removed. Now we have removed the clamp, the bridge is pulled back, so everything will now be sharp. To prove that point, I will turn my tuner on, pluck the A string, and we are just about a B. We're just under a B and a B note there. So we're sort of over a B sharp. So what we're going to do is now we are going to loosen these two claw springs until we drop that string into being an A. This is why I've gone wide angle. So now what we're going to take the screwdriver, the long one which we previously used for clamping, and we are going to release the claw screws. Same amount each one, keeping it level until we drop that note to what it should be, which will be an A. So let's have a look. Keeping the, see the claw, I'm releasing the claw. When I moved it further out, we're keeping it level. And we're just going to check the tuning again until we drop into an A note. We're actually a bit flat there, so we've gone too far, so we're going to tighten these claw screws again. A little bit sharp. Check the higher strings. A little bit sharp at that end, a little bit sharp on the bass side. Have a look. The E and the B are fine. G is a little sharp, D is fine, A is a little sharp, the E is a tiny bit sharp, so we're just going to slightly loosen again. Especially on the bass side. A is in tune, D is in tune, G is a little bit sharp. Now we're going to use the fine tuners. And that's it, we are all in tune. And that's it, that is the guitar set up. So I'm going to get everything all tidied up. I'm going to bring you back, we're going to finish this video. And there we are, friends, we are all done and the guitar is beautiful. So let's recap what we have done, if I can remember everything. Came in, it had a few uneven frets which we've sorted out. It basically needed an intensive setup. The reason I gave it an intensive is we had 5 frets that were high, we had 3 more that were little bits high, so we had 8 frets. Normally I do a complete fret level, but because some of the spots were they were high but there was nothing in it hardly, I decided to get it all in an intensive setup, which is £80. So we've done the fret leveling, I've recrowned and polished all of the frets, I've deep cleaned the fingerboard, got rid of all the grime on there as well, and I've set up the guitar and I've stripped and rebuilt the tremolo. Now this tremolo didn't look right, the saddles didn't look right, the radius looked completely wrong, especially on the first and sixth strings, and that's because there's a shim under 4 of the saddles, the 4 middle saddles, and I've removed that, decided to get rid of that, and it's given us the proper radius on the bridge. That was the shim in there. Why it was there, I don't know. It is not needed. So I've removed that, reset the tremolo up, so everything is set perfectly. We've stripped and rebuilt the tremolo, and that is it. It is all done. Stuck a set of 942 strings on there. So the whole job, I believe the whole job is costing £120. That's for a restrip, rebuild of the tremolo, resetting the tremolo, a fret level, polish, and a complete setup. And the guitar is fine. I've also just, before I turn the camera on, was I've just lowered this pickup because it was a little bit louder than the bridge. So it is all done. It's a beautiful, beautiful guitar. The name of which slips my mind at the moment. Again, I forgot the model, but you know, not important. I'm sure I'll find it out and stick it on the description. But there it is. Oh, one other thing I did, I forgot to mention. We replaced the tremolo arm. We put in a push-in system, so we had to remove the bushing and the post for that as well. So I think all in all, for £120, he's got a good deal. Cracking looking guitar with the tremolo now set properly, and it is excuse me, frog in the throat there, and it is now ready to go back. So without further ado, I am going to get it all boxed up, ready to ship back. But before I do that, I want to remind you of my website, facebook.com/ng17. That's facebook.com/NGONESEVEN. I'm Victor, I am your fret friend, and until the next one, as always, God bless you, be good to each other, and I'll see you in the next one.